Start streaming. We'll see what happens up here when that goes online. Stream health.
Green light.
Green light. You are live. The internet can totally see you now. Hey, it's Tractor Mike. We're not quite ready to start yet, but if you're out there, put your name and where you're from in the chat so we know who we're talking to. And we're going to get started here in just a second. Neo Blackjack. Neo Blackjack is watching. Neo Blackjack 3 Enraged. Hello, Neo Blackjack 3 Enraged. That's an interesting name. And Chamberlain Acre Farms. Gavin from Chamberlain Acre Farms. So we have 4 people watching.
Yeah. Let's give addresses where we're broadcasting
they're
to.
saying hello and hi, but they're not telling me where
hello.
they're from. Where are you guys from? I'm curious. What part of the universe? We had guys last time from Australia and Nova Scotia. 17 watching now. Welcome everybody. Appreciate you joining us. Put your name and your where you're from in the chat if you don't mind.
Yeah. Had some Canadians, I think, last time.
Yep. Chamberlain Acre Farms is from New York.
New York.
And Neo Blackjack, the Enraged. Gosh, I can't read. Is from Florida. I butchered your name, Neo Blackjack. There's Mike Skaggs from Michigan. Hi, Mike. We're going to start here in just a second.
Yeah. We sent a bale processor to Michigan today.
Really?
Yep.
Here, I've got Florida and Tennessee, Cliffside Acres. It must be one big farm. Hi, Neo. Neo says just to call him Neo. It's 5:30. We're going to get started. I appreciate everybody joining us. We've got 20 watching right now. This is the second Tractor Mike live stream, and we want to pay the bills here first and tell you about our sponsors. Our first sponsor today is S&H Farm Supply, and I'm broadcasting live from their place in Rogersville, Missouri. They have 3 big equipment dealerships, and Lockwood is a home office, and they're in Joplin, and the store we're at in Rogersville and Mountain Grove. 4 stores kind of in a straight line across southern Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
And they sell New Holland, big in hay equipment and big in pretty big in industrial equipment, and a lot of compact tractors and small tractors, and they sell Coyote and Bush Hog and Rhino and Woods, and they
Skag, Exmark, Bad Boy, Spartan.
That's right.
Yeah.
And they got a lot of stuff, and we're also brought to you by a new product I want to talk just a little bit about called Lube Shuttle, and I'm going to be talking a lot about Lube Shuttle coming up. And it's a no mess grease gun, and I'm proud to say S&H is a dealer for it, and
we don't mess around.
Yeah, they don't mess around. And hi, this is Tractor Mike here. I'm going to show you what a Lube Shuttle looks like. This is a Lube Shuttle grease gun, and it's a German built grease gun. It's really pretty cool. And the old grease guns, you got a big mess to change the cartridges. The Lube Shuttle is threaded, so all you have to do is push a little grease out the top and then screw it into the bottom, and you're good to go. And if you do a lot of greasing, or you just hate, and I hate getting all nasty when I'm greasing, Lube Shuttle is what you want. It's available to S&H Farm Supply. It's available on my website at asktractormike.com. It's a German-built product. It's really good. It has a lot of pressure inside of it, and it'll take care of your equipment. So enough of the introduction of the products. I'm speaking again this week with Kenny Bergman, who is the corporate sales manager for S&H Farm Supply, their 4 stores. And Kenny and I go back a lot of years, and we have a topic today that I want to discuss. It seems like a lot of folks that are new to tractors buy their first tractor and things are going well, and then one day they go out and it won't start, or the 3-point won't move up or down, and they call the service department, and that's when bad things start happening. And our topic is how to effectively communicate with dealership service personnel. And what we're trying to do is to kind of let folks know how to talk to your dealer and what to say and what to know, and then how our dealerships work inside, so you kind of know what's going on and why sometimes you don't get as rapid response as you want. And Kenny, first question is our topic: how do you effectively communicate with dealership sales personnel?
Well, Mike, I'm pretty certain that several of my service managers would tell you that their introduction to a customer was, I spent $25,000 with you guys. My tractor won't start. I need help right now. And, that's probably a bad start, So how do we develop that relationship? How do we get to know our service people? Just like our health. If you think about your tractor, what's your tractor's health is really up to you and your doctor. And our service personnel are going to be the tractor doctor. And so we try at S&H, one of the things that we do with every new tractor purchase is we're going to invite that owner to come and do a walk around, a service walk around, and introduce them to our service manager, our service writers, and give them an opportunity to talk about all the features on the tractor, all the controls, proper service and maintenance, and then who is it at the dealership that I need to call when I have a problem? Because your salesperson is glad to talk to you, but he's not going to be very effective probably at solving your problem. And so the service people are the people who are going to solve the problem. If you know them, you have a relationship with them, then it's a lot easier to pick up the phone and call them when you've got a problem. And the good part is they're going to know who you are, likely at least have the access to look up what equipment you've got, and that's going to get you a long ways in starting to solve your problems.
I really think that when a person buys a tractor, they ought to, if the dealership you're buying from doesn't do the walk around like S&H, I think you ought to ask, I want to meet your service manager at that point. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. We talked last time about, can you speak the language? Well, these guys are going to help you learn to speak the language. You think about if you're trying to solve a crime, try to figure something out, you always talk about the who, what, how, when, why. And we're not really concerned about the who and the where, but when we're talking about service, we're going to need to know the what, the when, and the how. And we're going to talk a little bit about today, how do you use technology and experience to communicate those things to help solve the issue as quickly and accurately and in the least costly fashion.
In your experience, new tractor owner, never been around tractors before, what's the first problem they encounter, and how do they resolve it?
Yeah, number one issue, tractor won't start. They're a little more complicated than an automobile. We usually compare them to an automobile, but there's a lot of safety features built into tractors, which can be frustrating. We're going to have a seat safety switch. We're going to have a neutral safety switch. We're going to have a PTO safety switch. And if all those aren't in the proper alignment, that tractor is not going to start. And it's for your own good, but it's very frustrating sometimes. And it's easy to bump a lever. It's easy to forget you left a PTO engaged. And also things happen, lights get left on, just different things. But usually tractor won't start. That's number one on the list.
And people are telling me my microphone is a little weak. And I've been fighting that problem all afternoon trying to set this up. But I hear you. I'll try to speak up, and hopefully I just pressed a button that might have fixed it. But anyway, so getting back to service. So I'm out in the field and my tractor won't start. And I think where we get into a lot of a situation where people are upset is the expectation level parallels their experience with automobiles.
Yes.
And if I've got a car down, a lot of times I'm able to drive it to the dealership, it's making a noise or something, and they can diagnose it. And yet with a tractor, it's a little bit difficult. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, there's a common experience that all of us have is an automobile, so it's easy to parallel that. There's a lot of things that are alike in the tractor world, and there's a lot of things that are significantly different. So let's talk about first what's similar. Mechanical, expensive, pretty reliable. Things that are different, not a lot of commonality of parts. and not a lot of commonality of service training. So many of your brands, you're going to be very limited to where you can go to get good quality service and talk to someone that really knows how to fix your unit, what it needs, has the electronic service tools to hook up to it to set things properly. And the other thing about the automobile industry, you know, we always wonder, why does it take so much longer to get my tractor fixed than it does my car? Part of it is the fact you can drive your car in most of the time unless you've wrecked it, and they can take a look at it. They can figure out what parts it needs to get those parts. You know, if in the automobile repair industry, you could probably go here in Rogersville. I could take my car to a shop. I could probably pick one of 15 parts stores to go to that's likely going to have most any part I need that's failed that would still allow me to drive the vehicle in. And that's just simply not true with your tractor. Parts are quite specific. There's usually one place to get them. That's from a vendor that's of that brand. They're usually very proprietary until they get significant age, at least. And so you're limited if your dealer doesn't have that part in stock and they have to get it through a depot or a parts distribution network. There's a necessary time lag, and so what appears to be minor can sometimes add up to be a few days, a week, 10 days, and that I think it's about that. How do we as a dealer set that expectation? How do you as a customer understand that? We're different. We're trying hard. At the end of the day, as a dealer, I want the same thing that you do. I want you to have a unit that performs, that does what you want it to do. I don't want you to have to call me except to say thank you and I love this thing, or I've wore it out, I need another one. You know, but I know that that's not going to be the case. We're going to need to converse about how do we fix your unit from time to time. So
I think that one thing that first-time tractor owners need to kind of understand, and this has nothing to do with communication, it's just a nature of the beast with our business. It is so seasonal, and how it is tough to staff up and have all the people in place to get you turned around quick. Talk about that.
Yeah. Probably one of our biggest frustrations as a dealer is how hard it is to get people to take advantage of our off-season service specials. We work hard to discount service to whether it's a hay tool, a compact tractor, a row crop tractor, or a lawnmower. We're offering discount service in the time of the year where you're typically not using it, from December through February. When our shops are slow, we have time to really thoroughly inspect your machine, do the service that's needed. But we're all human, and we tend to do need-based things, and we will procrastinate and put off those things we don't enjoy doing or don't have an immediate need for. And then all at once it's Easter and we need to mow the lawn, and or we need to burn the brush pile, or we need to feed hay or cut wood, and oh my, here we are right now, we need something in a hurry. And you know, most of our tense conversations with customers in the service department somehow revolve around time. How long they waited, how long the machine sat there, how long it took to get the repair or the part. And you know, I think, you know, let's talk through those things. How do we reduce that? That's what is a win-win for both of us.
The sad fact of the matter in a dealership, I think the hardest job in the building is service manager. Mm-hmm. And I feel for those guys. And when it gets in the busy season, like at this dealership in late May and June, when everybody's cutting hay and the skid loader people are working and the compact tractor people are working and the lawnmower people are working, this place is crazy.
Yep.
And so I think people, you know, a lot of times just need to cut these guys a little slack, and they get yelled at occasionally. And from a dealership standpoint, you want to take care of everybody, and you just don't have the staff to do it at that time of year, so stuff kind of gets backed up. Mm-hmm. I think one thing, the owner's manual is the most underutilized part of a tractor, and service managers get really upset with customers, and they should never get upset with customers, but they do when they get a call from somebody that has never touched the owner's manual. Talk about that.
Well, it's the guidebook. It will help you solve the simple problems. It will let you learn to operate the machine if there's nothing broken. And probably our service staff would tell you how many times we've made a service call, driven 30 miles to simply get on a tractor and realize that a guy didn't have his gear selector in the neutral position. He had the clutch depressed, he had the PTO disengaged, he had the shuttle shift in neutral, but the range selector was in high, medium, or low, and it won't start, you know. And the owner's manual would have told you that automatically. It would have told you, you know, most of them have a troubleshooting section, and they say tractor will not crank, and it tells you a list of things to go through. Very specific, points out with pictures, helps you to identify those things. And yeah, you know, so who gets to pay that bill when we drive, excuse me, when we drive 30 miles and there's not a warrantable repair? Then that's the customer's responsibility because they failed to take the time to read their manual. And that's an unpopular message, but it's true.
Yeah, it's really, really tough. And I think a lot of times we talk about the seasonality. A lot of times in the winter, if a guy wanted to really learn about his tractor, let's say you buy a tractor in July and you use it a little bit, and then it comes around in November, December, January, if you wanted hands-on personal training and get to know the service people at the dealership, that's a great time to give them a call.
It is.
And come in and really and have them spend some time with you. I think they would appreciate that.
There's educational and financial benefits to that, and it really will. That our service department wants people to be happy with their unit. They want them to get the most life out of it. They know they've made a big investment in that product, and for most of the purchasers, this is a lifestyle that they really enjoy. It's something that they look forward to. And the last thing we want is to turn that into an event that's not fun, not enjoyable, frustrating. And so I think going back to that, Mike's point, yeah, when you've got a little time, introduce yourself. If you haven't had a tractor walk around, even if you have, they're more than happy to give you a refresher course. Give you some update on maintenance, some tips on operation, and that goes a long way toward when you're in a panic mode and you have that frantic phone call, being able to connect and really lay out the situation. You know, in this communication with the service department, it's high speed in our world, and we need you to have the facts. Okay, so we need to know the model number. We need to know the hours. We need to know maybe when you bought it. What's your address? What was it doing? Can you describe it to us? If something's broken, one of the neatest things today, just snap a picture of it. Mm-hmm. Snap a picture of where it's broken. You know, identifying what it is we need to bring if we're coming to you. Picture is worth 1,000 words, and it's worth way more than 1,000 words in the service industry. You know, it's smoking, it's making a funny noise. Well, hit the video button, make a little video of that thing, record it. As I was thinking about what we wanted to talk about tonight, and this is not really about effectively communicating with service personnel, but if you think about the lights on the dashboard of your vehicle, and you think about them just like a traffic light. The concept is largely the same. So if you see a red light on your dash, you need to stop. If you see an amber light on your dash, it means something needs checked. You need to operate with caution. And green lights are always good. So maybe that's an easy way to keep in mind some simple things, because a lot of the emissions things have a lot of indicators that come on. Your air cleaner is going to have an indicator that's plugged. Your temperatures are going to have indicators that you're hot. So red light, stop. Yellow or amber light, caution. Check things. Green light, go.
All righty. I think at this time, I'm going to throw you a couple of questions. Mm-hmm. I like this one. Matt wants to know, why do hour meters die and why are they $50? Kenny's not a parts guy, and he's not really a service guy. He's been around it enough to know. But what's your answer to that? I'm curious.
Well, the reason they die today is because they are magnetic readers, and so either the magnetic surface gets damaged for some reason, or the contact wire. Tachometers used to be completely mechanically driven, and so they almost never failed unless the cable twisted off or the gear got rounded off after 30 years. I mean, they were very durable, and I can show you 45, 50-year-old tractors the tach still works in. But it's not uncommon today that they're all electronic. They probably are around that $50 range. That's probably not out of whack, and they're less reliable than they should be.
50's actually, Matt, I hate to tell you this, but that's not bad. I've heard actually in the last couple 3 days, I've been talking to somebody that had a little bit older tractor that the tach went bad, and it was like, I want to say 700.
Yeah.
So I hate to tell you this, Matt, don't complain about that 50. That's not too bad.
Yeah.
Robert had a question, and guys, if you have questions, type them in. We'd love to answer them. I don't have a trailer for my compact. Is it cheaper to have the dealer pick it up or hire a car hauler? And he didn't ask this, but or to buy a trailer.
Right.
Trailer's not too expensive. What's your thoughts?
Every shop has the ability to set their own rates, and so I can only talk about what we do. One of the advantages of buying a tractor from us, and if it's under warranty, it's one thing. If it's out of the warranty period, then it's another. But our standard hauling rate is $4 per loaded mile. So if you're 25 miles away, it's a $100 charge each way when it's loaded. So you'd have $200 round trip. So you could make several trips before you could own a trailer. I don't know what the competitive rate on a U-Haul rental is, or what the auto transport people do, but I would guess that majority of the time, unless you have an alternative use for a trailer, it's cheaper to let the dealership transport it. They're in the business. They know how to do it safely. They're not going to damage it in the process, and they're not going to get anybody hurt.
I would recommend against having somebody that doesn't haul tractors for a living normally to haul it. I remember, this is kind of bad to say, but repos, when they repo farm equipment, they hire somebody that repos cars, and they drag it up on the trailer. And you've probably seen some.
Yeah, it's ugly.
It's pretty ugly.
Yeah.
And your tractor dealer knows how to chain them down and get them there. So.
Yes.
That's a good point about warranty. I hope everybody understands that, with a car warranty, you can generally get the car to the dealership to get it taken care of, and with a tractor warranty, that hauling is absolutely not covered. The dealership, if they provide it, loses money on it.
Right.
I've seen a lot of folks that'll put a sticker on the side. Hauling is not covered. It's an expense. It's out of your pocket.
Yes.
When you have to haul in under warranty, and you don't like that either. And
no.
And the manufacturer, they're out of the loop
Right.
at that point. So
sometimes tractor service can be an adventure, Mike. I mean, we've been in quite some situations. Things go wrong in the craziest of places. When you're off the side of the hill and a tree's falling wrong, and you've been trying to get out of a bad situation. You're high centered on a stump. You broke something on your steering apparatus. The tractor service guys can tell you some pretty good adventure stories about where they've got to fix things, and the fact you couldn't get a service truck there and all that. So yeah, can be kind of entertaining.
I've got one other thing I want to bring up. I personally, I used to work at this dealership for 11 years. And I'm gone. I've been gone for 3 years. But I want everyone here to know me. I want a relationship with this dealership because you service the brand of tractor I own. And I urge you, one thing you can do that's really kind of cool, service people love donuts. I'm going to do a video sometime about if you want to find out if a tractor's any good or not, and you can get back and talk to the service people when you're buying, they'll tell you if it's any good. And if you take donuts in, you'll get all the service people in one place at one time. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I actually witnessed a service tech sneaking the donuts out of the coffee shop at around 11:30 today. They thought everybody had all the donuts they needed by 11:30, so they grabbed the box and went running to the shop with it. So it's absolutely right. They love to eat. I love to eat too. It's obvious, but any interaction, those techs, they're involved with their laptops and their tools, and it's a pretty fast-paced environment, and they really do enjoy the interaction whenever they get a chance. And the service writers and service managers, that's how they make their living. But they would rather prevent a breakdown than fix one, and that's legitimate. I think there's probably a repair shop concept out there in society that, anytime you go to one of these places, you're going to get hosed, or somebody's going to take advantage of you. They're going to sell you something you don't need. And I think largely that's a false assumption. I think most quality service centers, they're going to try to get you to think about how do you, if they're trying to sell you something that doesn't look broken, it's likely that it's worn, that there's a risk in running it like it is. And if some particular part fails, then it may lead to a more major failure than replacing that part. So they really are usually looking out after the customer in the long run.
Joe wants us to talk a little bit more about, we've talked about why it takes a lot longer to get a tractor fixed at a dealership than taking a car to get it fixed. And, we talked a little bit about the seasonality of the business. You got guys that are here baling hay, and they make their livelihood from their machine. And sometimes the guys that are just kind of playing with tractors, the hobby farmers or rural lifestyle customers, get pushed back at any dealership. It's bad to say, but it happens while the guys that are making their living with their machine get fixed. A lot of times dealers try to save customers money by ordering parts on stock orders. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, there really are 3 or 4 ways to order parts. We talked a little earlier about parts being proprietary on a lot of brands. So if I've got a Coyote tractor, the parts I need probably have to come from Coyote. If I've got a New Holland tractor, they probably have to come from New Holland. If I've got a John Deere, they probably need to come from John Deere, and so on and so forth. And, a dealer, no matter how hard they try, they're not going to have every part that you need. We're going to have about a $6 million parts inventory, and we're going to order parts every day. I've probably got 70,000 part numbers in stock, and I order parts every day because I can't have the exact right part for every piece, and I may have your repair may need 6 parts. I may have 5 of them. So it still requires an order. So when you go to order a part, there's the house is burning down. I'm on fire, 911. That's called a unit down. Next day air. You're going to pay about a 15% upcharge on the part, and you're going to pay full freight. Then we have usually the normal daily stock order, which delivers in 2 or 3 days, and that's going to have normal UPS or FedEx freight on it. And then we have our regular stock orders that are freight free, and they happen usually once a week. And so if we know exactly what we need and we anticipate the need correctly, then we will try to save a customer money, because nobody likes to pay freight. I don't like to pay it. You don't like to pay it. But when it's incurred, somebody has to pay it. And we are, as a dealer, we're 100% customer funded, so you can figure out who gets to pay the freight.
And I've gotten in trouble before trying to save a customer money by ordering on a stock order. The company looks at that stock order as you're ordering it to put on your shelves. There's
right.
and you save,
no emergency.
You save the customer money if they've got it and they send it right to you. But if somebody else orders 10 of them unit down, you're going to lose that part, and you can get into big trouble.
That's right. So, and that's a part of it. So we've talked a little bit about what might go wrong, and we've talked about establishing that relationship. But let's now assume that something has gone wrong. We've got a repair the tractor has to be brought to the shop. And so you made contact with a service manager. What next? You know, how do you keep this from being a mystery? I think that's really where we're headed with this conversation if we're going to communicate effectively with the service people. So either the dealership arranges for pickup of your unit or you bring it to us. Either way, the unit has arrived here. I tell my service managers, you know, there's 4 have-to times you have to talk to a customer when their unit arrives on the lot. You have to talk to them once you've made the initial assessment and you have an estimate of dollars of repair. You have to talk to them when the unit comes into the shop, when we actually get it in, when we've started the process of working on it. And you have to talk to them anytime the estimate of repair changes before it's complete. So those are 4 points that I always emphasize with the service writers, service managers. Everything that changes, anytime those dates change or the status changes, we have to have contact. Now, from a customer point of view, if the conversation goes something like this, you bring your tractor in, you borrow a neighbor's trailer, and you bring the tractor in, you talk to the service manager, you define what the issue is, and the service manager says, we'll call you when we get it in the shop. That's a trap, okay? It's a very common statement, all right? But what I need you to do as a customer, I need you to set the expectation of asking, okay, if I haven't heard from you by and a date and a time, can I give you a call? That's an important thing. You know, we all have Outlook on our desktop. It's pretty easy for us to put a note in and say, hey, I need to call Jim about his boomer tractor. And the same thing, if you have that communication, you say, okay, if I haven't heard from you by Saturday the 10th, I'm going to call you that morning, then you're not harassing our guys. You're just doing what we established that we were going to do in the first place. And I think those are some really critical parts of the communication process that are often overlooked. And I'm a firm believer in if we set the expectations, then when we take action, that's normal. You know?
Customers don't understand, and this is bad again, but the service manager in the busy season is overwhelmed. And a lot of times they drop the ball on and that is such a hard job. And I feel so sorry for those guys trying to get all the customers called back and all that goes on.
Here at Rogersville, Mike, just to give you an idea, and this is by far our heaviest workflow shop, but Rogersville will process about 9,000 work orders a year. 9,000. 300 working days. 300 work orders per working day. 3 service writers, that's 100 customer contacts every day. And with a seasonal business, it doesn't work out to 100 each day. So that gives you an idea of what that workflow is and how easy it is to be overlooked, to get swept under the rug. Not on purpose, just the flow overwhelms you.
Yeah. So I guess the one thing I would ask customers, if you can cut the guys a little slack in the busy season especially, that would be good. Joe has a great question. He says, does it cost more to take a Mahindra to a non-Mahindra dealer?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, tell us why.
Most of the time, within a brand, and maybe even within a local area, dealers will have a network where they share discounts on parts, but they're not going to share training. And so there's going to be some proprietary training that occurs. A trained tech is going to be quicker. Time costs money. Our shop rate is $95 an hour if you're paying retail. And so the clock is ticking. If you're paying $1.50 for every minute, you want to use the least amount of minutes possible. If I have to go to the Mahindra dealer and he doesn't give me a discount, then I'm going to upcharge you for parts because I have to make a margin to handle those parts to install them. So you're probably going to pay a little bit more for the part and a little bit more for the labor than you would at the Mahindra dealer. And in fact, a great example of that, we had a customer that caught one of our employees at the local MFA, and he had a John Deere tractor. I don't work on John Deere tractors. I'm not a John Deere dealer. I can, but he asked if he could bring it to us because he was frustrated, and we said yes, but it'll be more expensive than it would be if you take it to the John Deere dealer. And I want to be upfront with those people.
Yeah, every single brand has unique characteristics. The guys in the shop here have been trained on a couple of brands. They have factory training. They're really fast. They know what parts to order. They have the parts computers to order the parts.
Our computers are going to hook up. Our electronic service tools are going to hook up to them.
And so I would highly recommend, most cases, you take the tractor back to the brand. Let's talk about the shade tree mechanics. The guys that don't work at a dealership, they've got a barn or a shed or something that they work in. What about taking it to them? And then we're going to have to wrap up after that. If anybody has an emergency question, get it in the deal. But dealership versus shade tree mechanic, what's your thoughts?
Well, shade tree mechanic, some of them are really good. The truth of it is most of them have been trained by a dealership somewhere, and for whatever reason decided to go on their own. Probably the single largest disadvantage to taking your unit to a shade tree mechanic or a private shop is the fact that most of my manufacturers, Coyote, New Holland, Great Plains, if you want a part warranted, if you want a repair warranted, it has to be done by a factory trained technician. They won't honor a parts warranty if it's been installed by someone other than a factory trained technician. Now, you're willing to take that gamble. I've got a lot of friends who are shade tree technicians. They do a good job, but they're not going to get parts warranty, So hopefully they do a good job. Hopefully the part never fails, but that's the risk you take.
I also think about the training these guys in the back had factory training, right. And generally with all the tools they have available, their fix is going to be faster than the shade tree. So the shade tree guy is going to charge you more for the parts because he's had to pay a premium to the dealer to get them. And but his labor rate may be quite a bit lower. So you got to weigh all that together. But when you throw that warranty, that parts warranty in there, that's a strong case for letting the dealer do the work.
It is, and they're not going to have the technical resources. They're not going to have the data. They're not going to have the online information. They're not going to have all the tech forums and those kind of things that really are helpful if you run into a difficult issue.
Kenny, I'm going to wrap it up right there. Thank you for joining us again.
It went fast.
This is a time of year when you are incredibly busy, and I know it's quite a sacrifice to be here, and I greatly appreciate it. And I appreciate all the folks watching and asking questions and stuff. I think dealers and customers need to have more dialogue, and you need to get to know each other better. Most of the dealers that I know are good people, and they're trying to take care of their customers the best they can. And a lot of times it's just a lack of knowledge and that dang seasonal thing that. I remember when I was in a dealership about the middle part of June, I wasn't very fun to be around. My wife could tell you, we've all been there. It's a tough, but if we communicate a little better and talk to each other more and do our job of educating, both the dealer educating and the customer educating himself, I think that'll all be great.
Yeah.
So
my sum would be, we are not opponents. We're teammates.
Yeah, that's the way you definitely want to be. Well, I'm going to wrap this up. Again, thanks to everyone for joining us. Thanks to our sponsor, S&H Farm Supply. Great information, Kenny. Thanks to Lube Shuttle. S&H has Lube Shuttle here. I have it on my website. It's a no-mess grease gun. It's a premium German-built product, and I think you're going to see a lot of these. And I won't be without one now that I've owned one. But thanks to everybody that watched. And if you got ideas for new topics, hit me on Facebook or email me, and we'll try to come up with some good topics for next time. We'll do it again in a month. Thank you.